All right, ladies and gentlemen, and those who do not fit in the gender binary, please help me in welcoming all of us to the 2016 Poetry Out Loud State Finals. Please applaud all the poets. My name is Sierra DeMulder. I am a two-time National Poetry Slam champion and a thrice-published author who lives here in the Twin Cities. And I'm super, super pleased and honored to be your host and concierge for the evening. How many people here, this is your first Poetry Out Loud event? Yeah. Yeah, Loft director, raise your hand. No, you should. You admitted it. This is great. This is one of the many fantastic programs that the Loft facilitates here in the Twin Cities. Poetry Out Loud is an amazing, exciting, nationally renowned and known poetry recitation competition, which is sponsored by the National Endowment of the Arts, the Poetry Foundation, and state arts agencies. As our fantastic director already mentioned, our program here at the Loft is managed on behalf of the Minnesota State's Art Board, so we thank all of them for their tireless work and effort towards the arts. But what Poetry Out Loud is, it's a national poetry recitation competition in which students from high schools across the country memorize, study, discuss, and learn poems and poets from anywhere from classical to contemporary poets. And then they take those poems and they recite them in competitions at varying levels, starting with high school, local, like in their school level, kind of like a March Madness for literary people like us. So if you can imagine that elimination style. So what happened is every poet you're going to see here today competed at their own local high school, and they won or placed second. And the top two representatives from each high school came to one of 4 fantastic semifinal bouts that was held here at the Loft over the past 2 days. From those semifinal bouts, we took the top 3 of each 4. So tonight we're going to hear from the top 12 poetry reciters. Poetry performers in the Twin Cities from our fantastic pool of poets. So, what makes this different than any other, say, dramatic interpretation or et cetera, is that we do live in America here. We love competition. So we are going to be judged. We're going to put a numerical value on this piece of art and theatrical performance. And we could not do that very important piece of this event without my fantastic judges. Our fabulous director already introduced them, but I'm going to go through and tell you a little bit more about them. First up, we have Chris Martin, who is the author of The Falling Down Dance from Coffee House Press, Becoming Weather, and American Music from Copper Canyon in 2007. He was chosen by the CD Wright of the Hayden Carruth Award. In 2015, he co-founded Unrestricted Interest, the consultancy and writing program dedicated to transforming lives of people with autism. He also teaches here at the Loft Literary Center and is currently a visiting assistant professor at Carleton College. Please give it up for Chris Martin. Up next, we have Hugh Min Win. Hugh Min Win's poetry has been published in a plethora of journals. He is a Kundiman Fellow, a recipient of the Verve Grant from Intermedia Arts here in Minneapolis, a Minnesota Emerging Writers Grant from the Loft Literary Center, seeing a theme here, and a recipient of the University of Arizona Poetry Center's summer residency. His debut collection of poetry, which I own and love, is called This Way to the Sugar by Right Bloody Publishing in 2014. He was a finalist for the Minnesota Book. This book was a finalist for the Minnesota Book Awards and the Lambda Literary Awards. He lives here in Minneapolis, and I'm super pleased to say he's one of my best friends. Woo, friends! He's really judgmental, so he's a perfect judge, actually. All right, up next is Anitra Budd, who is a freelance writer and editor. In her past job as an editor at Coffee House Press, she worked with a number of authors, including T. Geronimo Johnson, Ron Padgett, Lincoln Michael, and Christopher Merkner. In addition to her freelance work, Budd is a visiting assistant professor at Macalester College and a faculty member of the low residency MFA program at Sierra Nevada College. Please give it up for Anitra. Lizzie Davis came to the Twin Cities in 2015, like a couple months ago, right? No, August. It was August. I can't count. I'm a poet. So she came to the Twin Cities in 2015 to join Coffee House Press as an editorial assistant. She holds a degree in literary arts from Brown University, where she specializes in poetry and translation. Her work has appeared in the Brooklyn Rail, the Perimeter, Circumference, and Words Without Borders, among other fantastic journals, and her translations of Elena Medell's My First Bikini was published in Jayala Books this year, which is fantastic. Give it up for Lizzie. All right, so we've got one more judge to announce, but just to let you know, those 4 judges are going to be judging you fantastic young poets on your performance. They are going to be judging you on things like tone, articulation, if your arms are flailing or not, your dramatic interpretation of a poem, whether they think that you truly understand the poem in the way that you are delivering it. For example, if it's a love poem and you're like, oh, I love you, they're like, maybe they didn't interpret that correctly. I don't know, it depends on the relationship that you're writing the poem about. But so it's about how you interpret the poem as yourself. Anyway, they're going to be performing. They're generally judging you on the performance. And we have one more fantastic judge who has a very special job. Vanessa Ramos loves outdoor patios strung with Christmas lights. Amen. And tales of L.A. Cupercita Roja? Right. Her awards include Dobie Paisano Fellowship from Texas Institute of Letters, and the University of Texas a Many Voices residency at the Playwright Center, and a Loft Mentor Series Award in nonfiction. Her play, Cuentos Stories, was showcased at the Warring Jones Theater in Minneapolis, and her work was recently appeared in, is it 1110 or 1110? 1110. Yeah, okay, so all right. And then when not preparing for celebrity, she teaches composition and creative writing. Please give it up for Vanessa. Thank you. So, like I said, the first 4 judges are going to be judging us on performance. This fantastic judge right here is going to be judging you on accuracy, how you accurately recite the poem. If you mix up a word, if you read a poem out of line, or a line out of order. And now she's also what we call the prompter. If for God's sake, you have a moment where you forget your poem. If you forget your line, you're going to pause, you're going to think about it, and then you're going to look directly at our fantastic judge. Do you want to raise your hand right here? Look at our fantastic judge and say line. If you just look at her, she's going to think that you're taking a very dramatic pause. You have to say the word line for her to prompt you for the next piece. Does that sound good? Poets say yes. Thank you, 10 poets, 12 poets. But I want to say this before I introduce one more person on our fantastic panel. I said at the beginning of this event that I am a 2-time National Poetry Slam champion, and the first year that I won that championship, I dropped my poem in my competition. So this is just to say that it happens to everyone. It happens all the time, and it doesn't mean failure. It means that you're human, just like everyone else. The tournament is about the poetry, not just the points. It's about the community, not just one voice. And if you fall, we're here to catch you. Is that right, audience? Say amen. Thank you. All right, we got one more fantastic person to introduce on my panel of fantastic people, and that is your scorekeeper. Like I said, this is a competition, and so these judges are going to be really super judgmental, and they're going to put these judgmental things on a piece of paper, and they're going to pass them down. And then this fantastic man, Brian Just, is going to tabulate them because he is the scorekeeper. Brian Just has been performing and writing songs in and around the Minneapolis area for more than 10 years. His most recent project, the Brian Just Band, a 7-piece rock band, which was featured heavily on the 89.3 The Current, has been gaining success in and around the Minneapolis area. His songs have been featured on the World Folk Collection in 2009 and the documentary Raising Sparrows 2010. His song Electric was featured on the 89.3 The Current's local live album, and he teamed up with the band Big Trouble for the Minnesota Beatle Project Volume 4 in 2013. He's a guitar instructor at the Music Lab of Minneapolis and teaches garage band classes in Minneapolis public schools. Brian is interested in working with students on their personal goals in songwriting, performing, and music theory. Please give it up for Brian Just, our scorekeeper. Now, those are all the important people you need to know about, except for they are not as important as the poets I'm about to introduce. From this point on, I'm going to kind of make fun of them, and they all consented to that, right? You signed a contract or something like that. It was in there. Ooh, just kidding. Not going to make fun of you. All right, so like I said, poets are going to go up. They're going to recite their poem. We're going to be in order of the school alphabetically. This tournament is going to be a 3-round tournament. It's going to go from 12 poets to 12 poets to 6 poets. We're going to take breaks in between. We've got lots of fantastic prizes, people to thank, things to do, but I think we should get to the poetry pretty quickly. I've got a couple announcements. First, number 1, please silence your cell phone. Everyone here has worked really hard to get here. They've practiced, they've rehearsed, they've done their poems in front of their peers, their teachers and judges, and I really would love for that moment not to be spoiled by someone's text message about dinner or something like that. So, silence your cell phones. Poets, I'm going to show you how to use the microphone. You all saw me do this over the weeks, but reminder, if you want to adjust the microphone, if you are vertically challenged like myself, move it up and down right there, tighten it right there, and then you can be pretty rough with this if you want. Obviously, don't throw it across the room, but just so you know, that might be good to turn this mic on for you too, right? Just so you know, you can adjust this, and then this is my professional opinion, but I am a professional public speaker, so I would advise that you point the microphone at a 45-degree angle, point it right below your bottom lip, so that we can still see your fantastic teeth as you project these fantastic poems into the world. Microphone still not on? Check, check, check. Good thing I turned this on, poets. You're going to thank me later. Check, check, check. Check, check. Check, check. So, like I said, you're going to move the microphone like this. Make sure it was totally working before. They can also use my microphone. You want me to switch it out? You know, this is a good sign, poets, actually. Like, if you trip before a tournament or something, you're bound to win. So, this just means we all won right now. Because there's a microphone thing. Oh, while they're checking out that, I am going to, while they're fixing that, I have a couple more announcements to make. Thank you so much. Give it up for the sound crew. Check, 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 check. Better. Check, check, check. Sound good? Check, sound good? All right. So, a couple more announcements before we get started. This is something that I feel incredibly passionate about. We talked about phones, we talked about mic etiquette, but here we're going to be on team clap for everybody, okay? I know that we are here to support certain people, but in this room we are on team clap for everybody, and team clap for everybody does not just clap for themselves. They do not just clap for their teammates. They do not just clap for the person that they think did the best. They clap for everyone, and I know we're going to be doing a lot of clapping. We're going to be pushing our hands back and forth a ton, and I know that can sting and hurt after a really long time, but that's not as hard as memorizing a poem and reciting it in front of strangers. So, you're going to keep clapping and keep clapping and keep clapping this entire tournament, okay? Because we are here on Team Clap for everybody. And most importantly, poets, 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 it is truly more about the poetry than it is about the points. It's more about the experience, the fact that you did this, that you memorized a piece and you came here again and again to do this. I love to remind people that why this is so special is not just that it brings literature, classic and contemporary literature into the mouths of our youths. People are more statistically afraid of public speaking than they are of death, of dying, right? And isn't that crazy that we have young people here that are already overcoming this really huge barrier that people have in their minds. So we're going to give them all the support and all the love that we have to muster. All right, I think we're ready to get started. Does this microphone sound good to you? Yeah. Okay, great. Again, I'm gonna announce the people who are on deck. Let me see. Oh yes, great. I have a special program with these wonderful poets' bios on them, and I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to say who is on deck. On deck is Jessica Steinberg, but coming up first, and we're going to give her so much love. First I'm going to say her bio, and then we're going to give her so much love. From Acadia Charter High School, Anna Kochever has always loved to express herself creatively. She enjoys playing piano, creating art, and volunteering at her local library. Poetry Out Loud has been a new and exciting experience for her, and she is very excited to be here. We're excited to hear from her. We're going to start clapping. We're going to start clapping. We're going to start clapping. And we're going to give it up for the first performer in 2016 finals, Anna Kochever.
Dear Reader, by Rita Mae Reese. You have forgotten it all. You have forgotten your name, where you lived, who you loved. Why? I am simply your nurse, terse and unlovely. I point to things and remind you what they are. Chair, book, daughter, soup. And when we are alone, I tell you what lies in each direction. This way is death. And this way, after a longer walk, is death. And that way is death. But you won't see it until it is right in front of you. Once, after your niece had been to visit you, and I said something about how you must love her, or she must love you, or something useless like that. You gripped my forearm in your terrible swift hand and said, "She is everything." You gave me a shake. Everything to me. And then you fell back into the well, deep in the well of everything. And I stand at the edge and call. Chair, book, daughter, soup.
This is how it's gonna go. Judges, you don't have time for clapping. You're not nice, you're judgmental. All right, so furiously write on the piece of paper. I will end up saying something witty, but I don't have it right now. This is one of my favorite tournaments to be a part of. I think that poetry is meant to be in the mouths of young people. It's meant to be in the classroom, and this is a great way to establish that. So we should also be thanking or mentally thanking the Loft Literary Center for hosting us. And judges, when you are done, go ahead and pass it down. Go ahead and pass it down. You're gonna be like a judgmental factory or a steam line. Like you're just gonna here you go, or something like that. No? Not funny? Which is fine. I don't take it personally. I just think that I make a very great cranky face. All right, up on deck we have Grace, but up next we're going to start clapping. Oh, just kidding. No, you can say bad host. Okay, I forget about the bios. Okay, from Big Lake High School, Jessica Steinberg's passion is anything involving performing arts. She is a sophomore involved in acting, piano, and ballet with the goal of becoming a music teacher. Please put your hands together and welcome up to the stage Jessica Steinberg.
Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jimenez Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upward and fills my mouth up with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins. The chair still warm from sister's body because it will all be irreproducible. My heart bleeds because of baby bear not finding mama bear. And it bleeds from the tips of my fingers like I painted my nails crimson. Sometimes my heart bleeds so much I am a raisin. It bleeds until I am a quivering, ragged clot. Bleeds at the ending with the heroine and her sunken cancer eyes. At the ending with the plaintive flute over smoke-choked killing fields. I am bleeding a river of blood right now, and it is wearing a culvert in me for the blood. My heart rises up in me, becomes the cork of me, and I choke on it. I am bleeding for you, and for me, and for the tiny babies, and the IED blown leg. It bleeds because I am made that way, all filled up with blood. My sloppy heart a sponge filled with blood to squeeze onto any circumstance because it is mine. It will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled onto the streets and the steps of City Hall. It bled in the pizza parlor with the useless jukebox. I've got so much blood to give inside and outside of any milieu. Even for a bad zoning decision, I'll bleed so much. You'll be bleeding. All of us bleeding in and out like it's breathing or kissing. And because it is righteous and terrible and red.
Give it up for that poet. Judges, be judgmental. Audience, be team. Clap for everybody. Thank you. All right, on deck we have John Flanagan. Right now I'm going to look at my judges like this. They're being so good. They're being so thorough. The judges in the preliminaries were just like, I don't know what they wrote. I don't know what that means, but we had some really amazing, amazing preliminary bouts. How many people here saw a preliminary bout who wasn't a poet? Make some noise. Yeah, all right. I'll thank you in a little bit. Up next, we have from Eastview High School, Grace Mayer is an aspiring playwright who is 98% convinced she is dating William Shakespeare. That made me laugh the first time I read it. A current senior at the Eastview High School. She will be attending the University of Chicago in the fall. Please give it up for Grace Mayer.
Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy by Victoria Cheng. In the end, she just wanted the house and a horse, not much more. What if he didn't own the house, or worse, not even a horse? How do we separate the things from a man, the man from the things? Is a man still the same without his reins? Here it rains every 15 minutes. It would be foolish to marry a man without an umbrella. Did Cinderella really love the prince, or just the prince on the curtains in the ballroom? Once I went window shopping, but I didn't want a window. When do you know it's time to get a new man? One who can win more things at the fair. I already have 4 stuffed pandas from the fair. I won fair and square. Is it time to be less square? To wear something more revealing? In North and South, she does the dealing, gives him the money in the end, but she falls in love with him when he has the money, when he is still running away. If the water is running in the other room, is it wrong for me to not want to chase it because it owns nothing else? When I wave to a man I love, what happens when another man with a lot more bags waves back?
Give it up for that poet. Team clap for everyone. All of the participants in the semifinals bouts received, regardless of if they advanced to states, they received bundles of books from the Coffee House Press, Grey Wolf Press, and the Milkweed Editions local publishing houses here in the Twin Cities. I talk about how lucky we are to be here at this program right now, but we're so incredibly lucky to be surrounded by such esteemed publishers. Really, if you are in the poetry world, you know how fantastic of a product they put out. How we doing, judges? Done? Judged? All right. I don't know why this is my judge face today. It wasn't like that in semifinals. I don't know what's up. All right, so on deck we have Abigail, but up next from Eastview High School, John Flanagan is a 17-year-old anxiously tiptoeing along the precipice of adulthood without a parachute. He will be doing that for the next 10 years. He frequently attempts to take solace in playing music. Please give it up for John Flanagan.
Cartoon Physics, Part 1, by Nick Flynn. Children under, say, 10 shouldn't know that the universe is ever expanding, inexorably pushing into the vacuum, galaxies swallowed by galaxies, whole solar systems collapsing, all of it acted out in silence. At 10, we're still learning the rules of cartoon animation. That if a man draws a door on a rock, only he can pass through it. Anyone else who tries will crash into the rock. 10-year-olds should stick with burning houses, car wrecks, ships going down, earthbound, tangible disasters, arenas where they can be heroes. You can run back into a burning house. Sinking ships have lifeboats. The trucks will come with their ladders. If you jump, you will be saved. A child places her hand on the roof of a school bus and drives across a city of sand. She knows the exact spot it will skid, at which point the bridge will break, who will swim to safety, and who will be pulled under by sharks. She will learn that if a man runs off the edge of a cliff, he will not fall. Until he notices his mistake.
Like I said, we are here and lucky to be in the Loft Literary Center, which is one of the nation's leading literary centers. I know that that's just a line in a bio, but I really, really, really mean it. As being a member of a national poetry community, many of my colleagues across the country are jealous of the fantastic programs that the Twin Cities have to offer for writers. We have amazing grants, classes, opportunities. It's just really a plethora of good stuff for us writers like me with words. All right. Judges, doing great. All right, on deck is Chaya. Up next from Harbor City International School, Abigail loves words, music, dance, and social justice. She is thrilled to be making her second appearance here at Poetry Out Loud. Please give it up for Abigail Edison.
Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, or A Vision in a Dream, a fragment. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alph the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with walls and towers were girdled round. And there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And here were forests, ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart a cedarn cover. A savage place, as holy and enchanted as ere beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman, wailing for her demon lover. And from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast, thick pants were breathing, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half-intermitted burst, huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. And mid these dancing rocks, at once and ever, it flung up momently, the sacred river. 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion, through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult, Kubla heard from far ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of Mount Abora. Could I revive within me her symphony and song? To such a deep delight 'twould win me that with music loud and long I would build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caves of ice. And all who heard should see me there, and all should cry, beware, beware. His flashing eyes, his floating hair. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes in holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise.
Good. On deck, we have Samaya, but coming up next from Johnson Senior High School, Chaya Vang, a student from Johnson Senior High School, enjoys being around nature and its beauty. She has moved 6 times and has lost and gained many friends. Life is not entirely planned. I love that. Please give it up for Chaya.
Come to me in the silence of the night. Come in the silence, speaking of a dream. Come with the soft rounded cheeks and eyes as bright as sunlight on a stream. Come back in tears, oh memory, hope, love of finished years. Oh dream, how sweet, too bittersweet, whose wakening should have been paradise, where souls brimful of love abide and meet. Where thirsting, longing eyes watch the slow door, that opening, letting in, lets out no more. Yet come to me in dreams, that I may live my very life again, though cold in death. Come back to me in dreams, that I may give pulse for pulse, breath for breath. Lean low, speak low, as long ago, my love. How long ago?
On deck, we have Megan, but coming up next from Learning for Leadership Charter School, Samaya enjoys reading, reciting poetry, and volleyball. Please give it up for Samaya Farah.
Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind, then floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays, and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped, and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on the dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But the caged bird stands on a grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom.
On deck, we have Awazi, But coming up next from St. Paul Academy and Summit School, Megan likes to keep it simple. Megan's bio is Megan likes poetry. Please give it up for Megan Joyce.
Ah, Why? Because the Dazzling Sun by Emily Bronte. Ah, why? Because the dazzling sun restored my earth to joy. Have you departed, everyone, and left a desert sky? All through the night, your glorious eyes were gazing down in mine, and with a full heart's thankful sighs, I blessed that watch divine. I was at peace, and drank your beams as they were life to me, and reveled in my changeful dreams, like petrel on the sea. Thought followed thought, star followed star, through boundless regions on, while one sweet influence, near and far, thrilled through and proved us one. Why did the morning rise to break so great, so pure a spell, and scorch with fire the tranquil cheek where your cool radiance fell? Blood red he rose, and arrow straight, his fierce beams struck my brow. The soul of nature sprang elate, but mine sank, sad and low. My lids closed down, yet through their veil I saw him blazing still, and bathing gold the misty dale, and flash upon the hill. I turned me to my pillow then, to call back night and see your words of solemn light again throb with my heart and me. It would not do. The pillow glowed and glowed both roof and floor, and birds sang loudly in the wood, and fresh winds shook the door. The curtains waved, the wakened flies were murmuring round my room, imprisoned there till I should rise and give them leave to roam. O stars and dreams and gentle night, O night and stars, return, and hide me from the hostile light that does not warm, but burn, that drains the blood of suffering men, drinks tears instead of dew. Let me sleep through his blinding rain, and only wake with you.
On deck is Byiza, but coming up next from the Twin Cities Academy High School, Awazi is a junior at Twin Cities Academy High School and is the captain of the speech team. Performing is a big part of her life through poetry, acting, theater, and more. Please give it up for Awazi Jafaru.
To the Notebook Kid by Eve L. Ewing. Yo, chocolate milk for breakfast, kid. One leg of your sweatpants rolled up, scrounging at the bottom of your mama's purse for bus fare and gum. Pen broke and you got ink on your thumb, kid. What's good, hot on the cement, kid? White Castle, kid. Tongue stained purple, cussing on the court till your little brother shows up with half a candy bar, kid. Got that good B in science, kid? You earned it, kid. Etch your name in a tree. Hug your granny on her birthday. Think of Alaska when they shootin'. Curled up dreams, a salmon, safety, tundra, the farthest away place you ever saw in a book. Polar bears, their new chess partners, pickaxe, and the ice northern lights, kid. Keep your notebook where your cousins won't find it. Leave it on my desk if you want. Shuffle under carbon paper and a stamp that screams late. Yellow and red to draw the eye from the ocean. You keep hidden in a jacked up 5-star. Your mama thought there was a secret in there, thought they would laugh, but that ain't it. It's that flows and flows and flows. And those lines, like those rip-roaring bits, you got bars to the end of time. You could rap like helium, about to spring all of it down to you. None left in the sun, fuelless. While the last light pushes from your belly, climbing your ribs, and you laugh into the microphone. And who's ready for that?
All right. right. Judges doing good. All right, on deck is Byiza, but coming up next from UBA Medical Academy, Bulaisa is a senior this year. She plans to study either medicine or social work, and she hopes to run an orphanage one day. Please give it up for Bulaisa Abdiwajib.
Passing by Toy Derikat. A professor invites me to his black lit class. They are reading Larson's Passing. One of the black students says, "Sometimes light-skinned blacks think they can fool other blacks, but I can always tell, looking right through me." After I tell them I am black, I ask the class, "Was I passing when I was just sitting here before I told you?" A white woman shakes her head desperately as if I had deliberately deceived her. She keeps examining my face and then turning away as if she hopes I'll disappear. Why presume passing is based on what I leave out and not what she fills in? In one scene in the book, in a restaurant, she's passing, though no one checked her at the door. "Hey, you black?" My father, who looked white, told me this story. Every year when he'd go to get his driver's license, the man at the window filling out the form would ask, "White or black?" pencil poised without looking up. My father wouldn't pass, but he might use silence to trap a devil. When he didn't speak, the man would look up at my father's face. "What did he write?" my father quizzed me.
Ashley, you are on deck, but up next from UBA Medical Academy, Byiza is a senior this year. She loves language, babies, people, and poetry. Please give it up for Byiza Abu Bakr.
Zacuan Papalotes by Brenda Cardenas, in memory of Jose Antonio Barciaga, 1947 to 1996. We are chameleons, we become chameleon. Jose Antonio Barciaga. We are space between the black-orange blur of a million monarchs on their two-generation migration south to fur-crowned Michoacán, where tree trunks will sprout feathers, a forest of paper-thin wings. Our Mexica, cocooned in the membranes de la madre tierra, say, we are reborn Zacuan papalotes, mariposas negras y anaranjadas, in whose sweep the dead whisper. We are between the flicker of a chameleon's tail that turns his desert blue backbone to jade or pink sand, the snake-skinned fraternal twins of solstice and equinox. The ashen dawn, silvering dusk, la oración as it leaves the lips, the tug from sleep, the glide into dreams that husk out mestizo memory. We are one life passing through the prism of all others, gathering color and song, cempasúchil and drum to leave a rhythm scattered on the wind, dust tinting the tips of fingers as we slip into our new light.
Final poet in this round from Wabasha Kelly High School. Ashley is involved in a variety of different activities, including band, choir, karate, math team, cross country, track and field, speech, and theater. She has a variety of different interests and is passionate about all that she does. We're excited to hear from Ashley Haxton. Give it up.
Life Cycle of Common Man by Howard Nemerov. Roughly figured, this man of moderate habits, this average consumer of the middle class, consumed in the course of his average lifespan just under 500,000 cigarettes, 4,000 fifths of gin, and about a quarter as much vermouth. He drank maybe 100,000 cups of coffee, and counting his parents' share, It cost something like $500,000 to put him through life. How many beasts died to provide him with meat, belt, and shoes cannot be certainly said. But anyhow, it is in this way that a man travels through time, leaving behind him a lengthening trail of empty bottles and bones, of broken shoes, frayed collars, and worn out or outgrown diapers and dinner jackets, silk ties and slickers. Given the energy and security thus achieved, he did what? The usual things, of course. The eating, dreaming, drinking, and begetting. And he worked for the money, which was to pay for the eating, etc., which were necessary if you were to go on working for the money, etc. But chiefly, he talked. As the bottles and bones accumulated behind him, the words proceeded steadily from the front of his face as he advanced into the silence and made it verbal. Who can tally the tale of his words? A lifetime would barely suffice for the repetition. If you merely printed all his commas, the result would be a very large volume. And the number of times he said thank you or very little sugar please would stagger the imagination. There were also witticisms, platitudes, and statements beginning, "It seems to me," or "as I always say." Consider the courage in all that, and behold the man walking into deep silence with the ectoplastic cartoon's balloon of speech proceeding steadily out of the front of his face. The words borne along on the breath, which is his spirit, telling the numberless tale of his untold word, which makes the world his apple and forces him to eat.
Give it up for the last poet in this first round of the 2016 Minnesota State Poetry Out Loud Finals.